in the chat box stays in the chat box. You can make mistakes. You can type fast. That's what it's for, quick communication. So what are we going to see tonight in this 1 hour webinar? Well, we're going to see and hear how to make listening tasks live and online, like we are right now, a little more active, and how to increase listening practice time. It sounds real simple, but a lot of times the activities that we call listening aren't really offering students a lot of listening practice time. I'll explain that, and you'll see that in action as we move forward. Now, if you have a pencil and paper next to you, it would be great, because just because we're doing this webinar online doesn't mean that we can't use the old school traditional implements of the trade. So I will ask you to write and draw a few things during this webinar. You don't have to have paper, but it's great if you do. I should point out that most of what we're going to see tonight is based on this article that I wrote for English Teaching Forum magazine. And the article is right there. I'm going to post that is the link to the article from Forum magazine. It is free to download. All right, let's start with a poll here. Whenever the teacher talks, students are getting listening practice. Is this a statement that you agree with? I have just put up a poll, and if you could please put in your opinions. I cannot see the results here. Okay, we've got about almost a third of our people are voting. Now I see the results. Okay, so most people agree. Whenever the teacher's talking, students are getting some listening practice. So we've got 0 people disagreeing with that. And we have polled 18 of the 54 present right now. Okay, and I think that's about where we're going to peak, with half of the voters registering now. All right, so I'm going to end the poll, and look at that. Virtually 100% agree that yes, anytime the teacher's talking, we're getting the students listening practice. Okay, I think it's only fair to say, you can see the results right there. I believe. Okay, so in my opinion, this is one of the reasons that we don't do a lot of dedicated listening tasks, because we think, hey, listening happens organically. It happens naturally when we're in the classroom. And so we don't design as many listening activities. That's my theory. Let's go to the next poll. We have another one coming right up. Let's say you're going to watch a film in English. Anytime you watch a film in English, are you getting listening practice? And they're off to the voting. We've got 15, Almost half of our people voting. Wow, our poll is all over the place. Some people say yes, some people say no, sort of. Please don't be chat box shy. Type your opinions in the chat box. Tell us why you think so, why you answered the way you did. I'm now going to end the voting and show you the results. So most people again believe when we watch a film in English, we're getting listening practice. Sort of. 10% said sort of. And I think that all of the answers here could be correct. But it really depends, doesn't it? If we look at Stephen Krashen and his idea of the I+1, which we'll go back to here. Language is best acquired when it's just beyond the current learner's level. So for example, my Polish, I studied for 2 months 20 years ago. It's about this level. Well, even smaller, if you can imagine, just a little smaller than that. So for my I+1, I need really low-level Polish with a few new words. That would be the equivalent of the I, my current level, plus a little more, +1. So when we watch a film, if I watch a film in Chinese, I'm not getting any listening practice because I'm not understanding anything. So why is this important? It's because I think we often overlook our dedicated listening tasks. We assume that kids are getting listening practice in classes. And they are, but that doesn't mean that we should target more dedicated listening tasks. What do I mean by that? That listening is the prime purpose of the activity. Okay? It's so easy for us to suddenly start teaching more vocabulary or thinking, this is a great speaking activity, and then we forget about listening. Now, let's get into the action. You and me together. Traditional listening. We're going to do a traditional listening activity. And if you're following along with me now, could you please raise your hand? Give me a virtual fist bump. You'll see down in your chat box, there's a hand down there. And that's your status. You can agree or raise your hand. And that will tell me if you are understanding. Okay. Yes, Jessica from Albania. Maria Sedmak, thank you. All right. Some people are understanding. And really feel free to use that chat box. We don't charge you for the chat box at all. It's completely free along with this webinar. So take advantage of that chat box. Special things could happen. So here's our traditional text. What we're going to do is listen to what you're going to do, I should say, is listen to the text, the very beginning of Alice in Wonderland or Alice Through the Looking Glass. Let me see if I have it here. I'll read that text for you, and then I'm going to ask you comprehension questions. So listen carefully because I'm going to ask you questions afterwards. It's basically a test. We call it comprehension questions, but it's kind of a test. Okay, Alice, where are you? I'm just leaning over for my Alice tab. All right. Here's our traditional listening task. The teacher, that's me, I will read you a text. Alice was beginning to get tired of sitting on the bank and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversations? Thus, we have completed our first text. Pretty short, huh? I consider that a good length for a text. Okay, now I'm going to give you the questions. Do you have your fingers ready for the chat box? Because I'm going to wait for answers. All right, question number 1. How was Alice feeling this day? I'm monitoring the chat box here, and I'm not seeing. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Now I'm seeing your chat box responses. Bored, tired. Those are great answers. Confused. That's fine. Yeah, she was kind of confused, wasn't she? Excellent. Do you remember where Alice was sitting? She was feeling strange. Great. You don't have to answer literally what the word said, right? That's not what listening comprehension is about. On the bank, yeah, which is a river bank. Excellent. Okay, question number 3. Who was Alice with? She was with her sister. Good. And her sister was reading a book. What was that book like? No pictures, Leonidas. Without pictures. Good. No pics. No conversation, right, Jessica? Thank you. Without pictures. You did great. Great comprehension from one listening of the text. All right, now we're on question number 5. How did Alice feel about that book? She disliked it. Yeah, right. Iveta, disappointed. Nonsense. Great words. You guys are doing great here. Okay, good. Question number 5. What was the second word of the entire text? The first word was Alice, but what was the second word? Guessing was. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's probably was. All right, very good. And what was the last word of the whole text? Conversation. Okay. Kasha says, period. There was a period at the end. Good one, Kasha. All right. Excellent. You guys did great with that text. I'll show you the text right now. And you're right. The second word was, and the last word, conversation. Now, I don't think this is a particularly good listening task, although you probably enjoyed it because you did really well, and because you're accustomed to this type of listening task. I don't think that activity is really very fair to students. Now, I'd like to ask you to read my mind. Why do I think that is not very fair to students? I'm going down to the chat box to see what your responses are here. Questions about details. Yeah, Małgosia, is it Małgosia? Małgorzata. Yeah, the details were not important, right? Who cares what the first and last word were? Yes, Jessica said, I only read it once. Thank you. Tatiana, thank you. I didn't tell you what you should listen for. Excellent. Okay. Larina thinks it's fair enough. Okay. Context. Okay. Those are good points. It's not a bad listening activity. I just think we can do better. So here are some of the things in that traditional listening that I don't think are very fair. No preparation. I didn't tell you what I wanted you to listen for. I only read the text once. For most of you, perhaps all of you, that was fine. But it might not be fine for all of our students. I have a really sad story. When I was studying Russian in 2004, and a teacher played a song, the first time I got to do a gap fill with songs, as a teacher, I'd done hundreds. I was so excited. And she played a very long song, about 5 minutes. And there were maybe 2 gaps that I didn't fill in. And then she went around the room asking us to orally fill in the gaps. And of course, the one she asked for me was one of the 2 I didn't know. Number 1, I don't think that was fair because I got the rest. Number 2, I only got to hear the song one time. Sorry, I still have not recovered from that. Okay, so number 2, I only read the text one time. Number 3, if we do too many comprehension questions, your listening task really becomes a memory task. Students don't know what to do during the listening, but afterwards they can receive a stressful amount of questions, and they might not remember those details. As people pointed out, I did not give you a specific task at the beginning. There's also no way for me to understand who understood everything. Now, as a teacher, I'm very susceptible to positive thinking. So I'm looking at the chat box and I get all these responses. Just like in the classroom, when 10 students raise their hand, we think everybody understands. But the 20 who don't raise their hands, we don't know. So I think we can design better listening activities. And that's partially what this webinar is about. At our fingertips in today's day and age are always 2 great audio sources. One is you. And one are recordings, audios and videos. So it's great when we use an audio to sometimes offer 2 different voices. That can help with comprehension. I'm going to see if we can hear Sir John Gielgud, the great British actor, reading the same paragraph.
And with a gentle hand, lay into her childhood's dreams untwined more than once a minute.
No sound?
And on to sudden silence one, fancifully act. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel.
Okay, so there's John Gielgud providing us a little bit of extra listening. You probably know that April is Poetry Month in the USA. So I thought, what kind of listening should we do? We've got to do some poetry, right? So let's try a dictation. Dictation is extremely traditional, right? But I think it's a great listening task because students know what to do. Their task is defined and specified. And the teacher can also see, if you're in a physical environment, if students are actually understanding each and every word. Here's how we're going to do it online. I'm going to deliver a very short text. I'm going to ask you to write it down. You can write it down on your piece of paper near your computer. You can write it in the chat box. You can write it on your phone. And then you can send it to me. If you're going to send it in the chat box, try to listen to the complete dictation before you press send. Okay? And here's a tip, number 1. Short texts have many advantages. Okay? For one thing, if it's a disaster, you can end the activity very quickly. For this dictation, it's going to be a poem. And here is my pre-listening. There's non-standard grammar in the very first line. There are 8 lines of 24 words total. I will read the poem 2 to 3 times. One expression in the poem is Jazz June. I wanted to give you that in advance because it's strange. And I will give you the title and a picture on the very next slide. The title is We Real Cool. The pool players, 7 at the golden shovel. What do you think the golden shovel is? Any ideas? Looking at your chat box here. A club. McCaughey, yeah. Yeah, it's probably the name of a club where people play pool, right? Pool players. All right, let me find my text here. I don't need it. I've got it memorized. Okay, are you ready to write down the text? I'm going to read it several times to you. And here we go. We real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. Second time through. We real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. For the third time, let's let the poet Gwendolyn Brooks read the text, okay? Her rhythm's different than mine, but the heck, she wrote it. She can do what she wants, right?
We real cool. The pool players, 7 at the golden shovel. We real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we thin gin, we jazz June, we die soon.
Pretty cool, huh? The poet reading her own work from the 1950s. Now, we gave you 3 times. All right, McCaughey's putting it in. We real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we thin gin. That's perfect. Yeah. Wow. You guys are amazing. Good work. You could also just look up the poem on the internet. But that is fantastic. At this point, let me try to share my screen and let's hear from Gwendolyn Brooks about why she wrote this very short poem. And I'm also going to show you Marcin, I'm wondering if you have your screen share on so that I cannot do mine. Yeah, I cannot share my screen. So that means we are not going to hear, not going to see Gwendolyn Brooks's poem, but we're going to hear her talk about why she wrote that poem, We Real Cool. And we're listening now.
I wrote it because I was passing by a pool hall in my community one afternoon during school time, and I saw therein a little bunch of boys, I say here in this poem, 7, and they were shooting pool. But instead of asking myself, why aren't they in school, I asked myself, I wonder how they feel about themselves. And just perhaps they might have considered themselves contemptuous of the establishment, or at least they wanted to feel that they were contemptuous of the establishment, might want to thumb their noses at the establishment. And I represented the establishment with the month of June, which is a nice, gentle, non-controversial, enjoyable, pleasant, fragrant month.
Okay, there's Gwendolyn Brooks on the genesis of that poem. You see in the photo here a bunch of men. How is her poem different? What kind of boys did she see? Yeah, gangs, right. People who left school. Yeah, school age. Yeah, probably younger boys, teenage boys. Yeah, right, Leonita, Alla. Good. Yeah, absolutely. So we could also do a listening activity with an explication of that poem. Cool, huh? So normally when we talk about listening and structuring a listening activity, it's a 3-phase structure. I'm sure you've heard it before. What are these 3? Before, while, after. Yeah. Pre, while, after. Pre-listening. Good. Good. You nailed it. You all get A's, at least those of you who answered. Pre-listening, while listening, post-listening. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a poll and give me your opinion on which of those phases is the most important. Is there a way to mute everybody in the room because someone's making noise? Okay, so here's a poll. Which phase in teaching listening is the most important, in your opinion? Again, there's no right answer. I don't like right answers. I like getting people's opinion. You're all a bunch of politicians. They are all equally important. Politicians. Maybe I should ask, which is the most fun to teach? Oh, but they are all important. Okay. Okay, Mikhail, I cannot argue with anyone that says that they are all important. And that's the big winner. As you can see, I'm sharing the results, and the big winner is there, equally important. And that's fine. Once again, this is a matter of opinion. Mikhail says, while is the most fun. I would have thought most teachers think pre is the most fun. For my money, while listening is the most important phase, because it's a listening activity. And so often we think of a listening activity and we think, wow, there's a great vocabulary exercise I can do before so that students become familiar with the text. Great. Do your great vocabulary activity. However, when you do, or when you do a great speaking activity afterwards, realize that you're no longer teaching listening. Now, that's not necessarily bad, but we should realize it. So, not long ago, I attended a listening skills teacher training, and I happened to have a notebook and my stopwatch. And I wrote down everything that we did in the trainer's sample lesson. And you can see it in this little slide. This is again from the article, Practical Tips for Teaching Listening in Forum magazine. And you can see probably that the funnest part of this was pre-listening, where the teacher brought out a bag and inside she had several stuffed animals, and we, playing the role of students, were allowed to form questions to guess what those animals were. That was clearly the funnest part of the activity. I'm not sure how long that took, but let's find out exactly because I had my stopwatch. So that was 3, guess the toy. That took 9 minutes. So we had 16 minutes of pre-listening because the teacher really wanted to show us creative pre-listening tasks. I don't blame her. She was excited about that. I've had a request for the link to the article, and it's coming right at you. And then we did the while listening task, which was 1 minute and 5 seconds. We only listened to it one time, and then we took a little true-false test on that while we were listening. And then we did post-listening, which was about 7 minutes. So for you out there who are doing the totals, we have 23 minutes of non-listening in support of 1 minute of listening. Now, all the activities might be great, but if you're going to call your activity listening, you want more than 1 minute out of 23 to be a listening activity, right? So that's something I really urge teachers to be aware of. Beware while listening avoidance. The other activities seem to be so fun that we often don't give students a lot of listening practice, where the goal of the listening is simply to get the practice to understand. Now here, I'm going to give you a very short listening audio. I'm a big fan of short listening audios. And here's my pre-listening. This is a pangolin. That picture. Pretty cool, huh? That's my pre-listening. Now we're going to listen to the Pangolin Song. You only have to get 2 words. It's really short and hopefully easy. Let's listen to the pangolin. Are you ready?
The pangolin. He's so funky, he's so funky. Who's so funky? Who's so funky? The pangolin. He's so funky, he's so funky. Who's so funky? Who's so funky? The pangolin. The pangolin. He's so funky, he's so funky. Who's so funky? Who's so funky? The pangolin.
Okay, you really only had to get one word, and everybody did it. And Agnieszka said, ha ha. Funky, right? Which means unusual, strange. And he is funky. Look at that. That's really funky. So cool. You heard that 3 times. He's so funky. He's so funky. Who's so funky? And because it was so short, it doesn't seem boring. But we are really trying to orient this toward learner success by giving them a lot of chances. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the pangolin via song. Take a look at that. Checklist listening. Some of these are correct and some of these are not correct. You've already seen what the pangolin looks like, so you can guess. But I also am going to play you an audio. I'll play it a few times. We're listening now.
Pangolin. He's a mammal who has scales. Baby rides on mama's tail. The pangolin. The pangolin. His tongue is really long. He slips up termites all day long. The pangolin. The pangolin. He's a mammal who has scales. Baby rides on mama's tail. The pangolin. The pangolin. His tongue is really long. He slips up termites all day long.
He's a mammal who's got scales. Baby rides on mama's tail. The pangolin. The pangolin. His tongue is really long. He slurps up insects all day long. The pangolin. The pangolin. Okay, so you actually heard that 3 times. Twice by that singer and once by your host for the evening. And I got from Iveta, I got a wow, all caps. I love those. Thanks, Iveta. All right, how did you do? Which of these were true in checklist listening? Which are true? 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. Let's see if that's correct. Yes, number 2, 3, and 5. The pangolin is a mammal. Okay, so great. You understood all about the pangolin. That's great. Often, once we do a listening task like that, we're done. Then we move into, hey, let's talk about the pangolin. Let's do a writing activity, which is great. We should talk more about pangolins. But we can also do more listening. So now, take a look at these words, these 5 sentences. There are some places where the words do not coincide with the audio. So now we're listening for detail. Listening for detail. I'm going to give you another listen.
Who has scales, baby rides up. The pangolin. He's a mammal who has scales. Baby rides on mama's tail. The pangolin. The pangolin. His tongue is really long. He slips up termites all day long.
Okay. We are rocking in Poland tonight. This is my friend, the pangolin. Okay. So, how did we do that? I didn't even write the corrections here. But you got it. So let's do them orally. He's a mama who's got scales. No, he's a mammal, as Aurora Letty pointed out. And baby hides on mama's tail. Nope. Baby rides. His tongue is very long. Really long. Good close listening, everybody. And he eats termites all day long. What's that one? That's the hardest word. His tongue is really long. What does he do with termites? His tongue is really long. He slurps up termites all day long. And ants. How does he feel about ants? Okay. Oh, Lorina's very close. For termites, it's slurps. To slurp. Okay, and ants, what does he do? He loves ants. All right, great. So you actually heard that one little text, I think 4 times now, or 5. Keep activities short, provide a lot of listening practice, if possible. Let's try this. Let's try a different approach now. So on the left side, I'm going to give you some more music here. On the left side are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different objects. And on the right side are 6 different objects. So we're going to do a wistful imaginary song that poses the question, would you rather be one of these or the other? That's our pre-listening task. Now let's get right into the audio. I'm going to play it a couple times for you, as I like to do. See if you can put those pictures into pairs. And away we go.
Would you rather be a smile or a laugh? Would you rather be a zebra or a giraffe? Would you rather be the wind or the rain, a helicopter or a plane? Would you rather be orange juice or champagne? Would you rather be a smile or a laugh? Would you rather be a zebra or a giraffe? Would you rather be the wind or the rain, a helicopter or a plane? Would you rather be orange juice or champagne?
So with you, I can get away with playing an audio like that a couple times. With a group of learners who don't have a really solid grasp of English, I might have to play that 7, 8, 9 times. You think, well, that's boring. Well, what's worse than boring is when students feel like they're failing because they don't understand. What's great is when they feel success. Yeah, so I'm going to repeat it one more time. Well, actually, I don't need to because I have the text right here. But look, here's a different way of doing it. So I like having different approaches to close listening, even when you're doing one activity. So we could move to a gap fill after the pictures. And what you see in the first 2 verses are this. Would you rather be a smile or a laugh? A zebra or a giraffe? The wind or the rain? A helicopter or a plane? Tatiana, thank you. I'm glad you like it because guess what? This is in the public domain. That is, it's my song, so I don't have to ask anyone for permission. And it's free for download at that link right there. And also, in case anyone likes the pangolin, you'll find it on the same place. Both of those have activities, printable sheets with gap fills and activities that teachers can use. And you also notice that many people, well, I told you that story about when I was studying Russian and the teacher played that song that was 5 minutes long. Teachers often feel obligated that they have to play a whole song, like they're cheating the artist or students if they don't. You can play songs in pieces. You're educators. You play them in a way that will benefit the learners best. How about really short dictations? These are complete ideas generally. A proverb is a complete idea. It's a complete piece. So is a news headline. So is the title of a novel. These can make really great short dictations. If you want to get listening into your class every day, do really short dictations. I've got 2 sayings by Einstein here, And I'm going to dictate them in two different ways to you. If you'll just allow me to find my text. So here is the way teachers always dictated to me, even in English, when I was in grade school. First, I'll read the first quote by Einstein is this: "Time is what prevents everything from happening at once." Now, my teachers in dictating would then read it like this: time, and they're walking around the classroom, is what time is what prevents. Time is what prevents. Now, this piecemeal approach to language doesn't sound very authentic to me. Michal got it. Time is what prevents everything from happening at once. Cool, huh? I prefer a loop dictation, which makes the language more natural. This is a more difficult quote from Einstein, but I'm going to give a loop dictation here. See if you can get this one, okay? There are more words. There are 12 words. Here's a loop dictation. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Okay, which version did you like better? I think the first version is more of a writing and spelling practice. The loop provides authentic language. It's at natural speed. It just keeps going and going. And if you're in a physical classroom, you can walk around and see which students understand and which students need extra help. If you're in a virtual classroom like we are, you can ask students to send these dictations to you after the lesson so you can check on them, assess them, or just have them send in the chat box as we're doing. Because even if the students didn't get it exactly right, now they're measuring what they have with what other students are putting into the chat box. So in a way, self-assessing on their listening. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, we've only got about 8 minutes left, but I want to do something pretty fun, a picture dictation. We've dealt a lot with scripted texts that are texts, that means texts that are already recorded or planned, written. I'm going to do an unscripted text, which means I'm just going to make it up. And I would like you to respond by drawing. So you'll need a piece of paper for this. Okay. And on your piece of paper, it should be blank. I would like you to draw 2 lines. It's pretty easy. I cannot draw on my whiteboard. Oh, yeah. I'm not allowed to collaborate much in. Okay, so that's unfortunate, but that's okay because I always have a backup plan in technology. So let's get rid of the whiteboard and go back to the presentation. what I was going to do is draw something on that whiteboard. It's basically 2 lines. You see the 2 lines? And this is what you should write on your piece of paper, those 2 lines, and then there's 3 segments, 3 areas. Now here I can make up a dictation as fast as I want, as slow, with as many vocabulary items and as much language as I want. So if you have your picture, your paper next to you, and you're ready to draw, here's what I want you to draw. I want you to put a umbrella on the beach. Okay? In the sea, I want you to put 2 fish. In the sky, I want you to put 2 birds, but 1 bird is big and 1 bird is small. Put a sun in the upper left-hand corner of your picture, and then write the word sun on it. This is for kids, right? But I can make the language quite complicated. I can also say, draw a submarine just under the surface, and the submarine should have a periscope that is rising out of the water and pointing towards one of your birds. So I can't see your pictures right now, but I could ask you to send them to me at the end of such an activity and see who exactly placed everything in the right place. Maybe I've got an example here. I've got an example right here. So you'll see there's our beach and the umbrella, right? We have 2 lovely fish. They look pretty happy. There's our submarine. And look at the periscope. Is it pointing at a bird? It is. It's pointing directly straight up. Well, this is really cool. Where's that sun in the upper left with the word sun on it? So this student, Ala, followed directions perfectly and also came with a really cool picture. It looks like it's for kids, but you can see that the teacher directs the language. It can be very high level or not. Here's one that I did with a 13-year-old girl in Jordan. And she had very low level of English, so for her this was a real challenge. We can make this complicated by doing a map drawing, for example, of Paris, a map of a park, a map of your city. Simply put north, south, east, and west and direct students to write what you say. Specific task, they're doing it while listening. You'll love this, and they will too. We're just about to wrap up here. But here are some other things that you could draw and dictate through this. A monster, a pirate, a park, a home full of all sorts of appliances and people, a castle, a car, the city, the cockpit of an airplane. Why did I put that? Because you'll see that if you were teaching ESP and had to teach pilots or something, that would be a good listening activity, right? An island is really fun and really easy. You can put anything on your island. So not just for kids. Kids my age like these activities too. And by the way, here's a monster that a student drew. Now, all that was dictated. She had to make all those things very precisely, like the polka dotted green skirt and the sleeveless t-shirt and the forearms, etc. I'm going to leave you with one great resource. You saw my website where I have some songs. That's not the great resource. It's just a place where I put songs. But the really useful resource is Voice of America. There are a mass of audios here. They're done at different speeds. Some are spoken very slowly, like this. Some are for advanced learners. Some have gap fills while people are talking in subtitles. And because it's a US government site, everything's free, copyright free. Don't worry about it. Use it. And so definitely explore Voice of America. What have we learned today? Can you put something in the chat box? And I hope it's not the word nothing. I hope loop dictations are cool. I agree. I'm very loopy. I love looping. Oh yeah, Machin has a great request here. You could upload your drawings to Padlet. That would be great because then you could actually look at them in real time or shortly after the lesson. Pangolins are cute. Yeah, listening should be short. You can do longer listenings, but there's so many advantages to short ones. You can do a variety of activities. It doesn't take up a lot of class time. If something goes wrong, it's not a problem. Drawing dictations are cool. Thanks, Brasida. All right. And guess what? We did listening activities online, dedicated listening activities. And song activities are great too. So just want to thank you for coming to the webinar. If you got a lot of money, you could buy me a little car, 'cause I'm walking to work. I'm walking to work every day. Thank you very much, everybody. It was awesome spending this evening with you as we're all stuck in our homes. Please visit us on Relo Belgrade Facebook, where you will see Ivana Bankovic, my partner in the Relo team, and Marcin and Lucina. Thank you so much for inviting me to give this webinar with IATEFL Poland today. It was really fun, and thank you, participants. You guys were really great. See you in webinar land again.
Thank you very much, Kevin. That was absolutely fantastic. And it was so amusing. At the same time, it was so active, and it showed that this was interactive, but not in this new modern way of technology, but it was interactive like in a human-to-human way. So I really kind of liked it very, very much. Thanks a lot for for agreeing to have the webinar for IATEFL Poland. From my side, I want to tell that I owe a lot to a regional English language office, and I absolutely recommend you looking at the website and AmericanEnglishState.gov and Relo Belgrade Facebook. We want to thank you for coming at this late hour to our IATEFL Poland webinar. And please stay tuned. We'll try to bring you the best possible offer for continuous professional development. Soon we are going to announce what's going to happen with our IATEFL Poland conference as the coronavirus scare
continues. We are thinking of some new solutions to our conference in Łódź. We'll keep you informed. Stay tuned and watch our Facebook and look at our new website, IATEFL.org.pl. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thanks, Lucina, and all the best to you all. Stay at home, stay sane, stay healthy. All the best to you.